Hi and welcome to this Yoga Sizzle video. Thank you for joining. This video is a request, the first one. Yay! It was a request for a beginner's video. So what I've done is break down the traditional Sun Salutation, which is usually the base for most Vinyasa flow classes, which is the style yoga that I teach. We're going to break down the main transition, which is the plank downward facing dog that most people you've probably seen. Downward facing dog, the plank. And we start on the floor, then we practice it on all fours, and then we begin to incorporate it into the full sequence. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Any comments, any requests, if it's too fast, if it doesn't make sense, let me know and I can redo the video, or I can break it down even more, or I can focus on just one of the things. Now this is a little bit longer, but you'll be fine. Enjoy yourself. Thanks for joining. See you on the mat. So today we're going to start on the floor. So maybe from a cross-legged position. I like to hold on to the top of my feet and then gently roll all the way down. And then once you're down, you can of course let go of your feet. And then just uncross your legs. Just have your feet flat on the floor. Just make sure you can feel the floor, that you feel comfortable. And then bring your feet almost as wide as the mat. And just take a moment here, like close your eyes and just feel your breath. The breath is above all probably the most important thing when you practice yoga. Make sure you're always breathing. And noticing if your breath becomes strained, or it's catching in your breath, or it doesn't feel natural in some way. And then becoming aware of how your body is being moved by your breath. As you inhale, your belly and your chest will expand, and as you exhale, your belly will soften and sink, and your chest will soften. So already your body is being moved by the breath. You might even feel a sensation of buoyancy as you inhale. That you could float up. And as you exhale, that you sink down a little deeper. So we're going to use that sensation of the buoyancy and the sinking with our breath to just warm up, get a little bit of juice into the spine and our hips and our lower back. I like the word juice. So just have your arms a little bit away. And with your next inhalation, feel yourself becoming buoyant. And as you exhale, lower your knees towards the left. And inhale. The buoyancy lifts your knees up. And as you exhale, your knees sink towards the right. Pretty easy. So far, so good. Inhale, the knees come up. And exhale, they arrive on the left. Inhale, the knees come up. And exhale, arrive on the right. One more time to each side. Inhaling up. And exhale. Inhaling up and across. Exhale. Then inhale back to center. We're going to add a little bit more. And that's what we'll be doing. Doing things in stages, adding on a little bit after a little bit. So now you're going to bring your knees into your chest. Glue your knees together as if you only had one leg. Pin the back of your shoulders to the floor. And it's the same, using the breath in the same way. Inhaling for buoyancy, bring the knees towards your left elbow. And exhale, hold it here. So we're not sinking all the way down. Inhale the knees up and across towards the right. And exhale, sink and hold. Be careful if you've got a Mr. Mike strapped to your hip. And inhale up and across. And exhale. Inhaling up and across. And exhale. I really need to do something about this guy. And again, inhale up and across. This time we're just going to hold it. So only holding, lowering your knees as far So you can still keep both shoulders flat on the floor. You'll feel your core strength turning on. Hold it here for a few breaths. Again, noticing is your breath still natural and relaxed. And then inhale, the knees become buoyant, come up, lift across to the right. And again, exhale and hold here. You might like to turn your head in the opposite direction, getting a little bit more twist along the spine. And then inhale, letting your knees become buoyant. And hold it here. And bring your feet flat onto the floor. With your feet flat on the floor, you can maybe just skim the heels with the tips of your fingers, pressing the back of your arms into the mat, and again using the breath for buoyancy. Inhaling up. And then you gently, slowly sink with your exhalation. And inhaling all the way up. And all the way down. Now you can use your buttocks to help press your hips up. So inhale, you become buoyant. Your bum helps to press your hips up. And then all the way down. We're going to add some arms. So inhaling, hips up, arms come up and over to the floor. And then sink as you exhale all the way back down. Can you time the hips with your arms? Everything moves, the breath starts. Everything lifts up. And exhaling, everything sinks back down. So this feels like a spinal warm-up, which it is. But you'll also notice that a lot of these movements will be repeated as we build onto the practice. Now from here, inhale your knees and your nose towards each other. And reach your fingers forward. Is your breath strained? Does the front of your throat and the neck feel tense? Can you soften a little bit? Now we're going to add this bridge pose together with the bowl pose. So this bridge, inhaling the hips up, the arms up, and then exhale, curl into a little bowl. Inhaling up, and exhale. And one more time, inhaling up, and exhale. Last time, inhale up, feeling your chest lift towards your chin, but not the chin squeezing towards your nose. So we're moving the chest, the hands pressing back, the hips pressing up towards the sky. And then rolling down into your little bowl. Squeezing your legs together, your thighs together, feeling your stomach muscles switch on. And then holding onto your right knee, extending your left leg out in front. Now release your knee, forehead towards your knee. And bring both knees in, relax your head. It can be hard, I know. And then again, bring your knee to your nose. Hold on to your left knee, stretch your right leg out. And then maybe release. Noticing how much your back is already rounding, how much your core switches on. And bring both knees in and lower down. Take a deep breath here. You maybe even bring your feet to the floor if you just want to let everything go. Okay. So from here, we're going to apply all of this in an all fours position and then moving on to downward facing dog. So from here, you might like to roll onto the side to push yourself up, or rock and roll along the spine. Depends on what feels most comfortable. Now I just need to put on Mr. Mike here. And then you're going to find your way to all fours. So your knees are going to be underneath your hips. And your hands are going to be underneath your shoulders. And have your hands just a smidge wider than you would normally think, and have them a smidge in front than you would probably think, because there's a bit of an optical illusion from where we're looking, our gaze down to our wrists. And untuck your toes, press your shins and your feet into the floor, press your hands into the floor, and keeping your hips fairly still, inhaling the chest forward and up, and then exhale to round. Press, using your buttocks muscles to press your hips forward. Inhale, upward facing cat, and exhale, round your chin to your chest, press your hips forward, downward facing cat, or as I like to call it, angry cat. So you really want to have that angry arching cat back. Inhaling forward, upward facing cat, tuck your chin, exhale, round your back, angry downward facing cat. And then come back to neutral. So that's very similar to what we were doing on the floor. Chest coming forward, upward facing cat. And then rounding your back. It's like when we're bringing our knees into our chest or our knees to our nose. Then come again back to neutral. Lifting your left leg behind you. Can you keep the weight firmly, evenly into both hands? And then bring your knee to your nose, round your back. It's like we did lying on the floor. And stretch the leg back. And again, bring the knee to your nose. Round your back. Can you get your knees close to your chest and your nose and as far from the floor? Stretch the leg back. And bring your left knee down. Stretch your right leg back. Inhale. And exhale, squeeze the knee into your nose. Inhale back. And exhale, squeeze, rounding your back. Push the floor away with your hands. And back. And I don't know if we did 2 or 3 on the first side, but we'll just do the third one because we can. And stretch the leg back. Bring both knees to the floor. Tuck your toes and sit back on your heels. This is what I like to call puppy stretch. If you can, bring your forehead to the floor. Keep your toes tucked under, your knees on the mat, and your hands stretching out in front. So you're trying to get as much length, and you'll feel the stretch from the soles of your feet, maybe around your hips, your lower back, your arms, your armpits. Now we're going to add some movement. So from here, our puppy stretch. Inhale, round your back to this angry cat position. And hold. And chest comes forward. Up cat. Now round your chin. Round your back. Sit back onto your heels. Puppy stretch. One more time. Inhale, round the spine. Coming up. Feeling your buttocks engaged. Then your up cat. Then tuck your chin, round your back, angry cat, and sit back on your heels. And one more time, rolling forward a little bit more smoothly. Chest comes forward. Tuck your chin, round your back, and sit back on your heels. And then from here, round, come forward, pressing, squeezing your butt. Press your hips forward, round your back. Now lift your knees and bring your ears in line with your shoulders. This is your high plank position. So your butt is engaged, your belly is engaged, your hands pushing the floor away from you. All things that we've already been touched upon. You're hitting pretty hard, I know. You're fine. And then bring your knees back to the mat. Sitting back on your heels, puppy stretch. We're going to add a little bit more. So you're going to come up, round your back, lift your knees, high plank, and tuck your chin, bend your knees a little bit, and press your hips behind you for the downward facing dog. The first one. Ta-da! You can keep your knees as bent as you need, just so you feel that your back is nice and long. And then come forward to your high plank. Bring your knees to the mat. Sit back, puppy stretch. And again, round your back. Coming forward. Lift your knees. tuck your chin, press back, down dog. You can keep your knees bent. And lift your heels up, come forward, knees to the mat, then sit back on your heels. We're going to start adding some more. So round your spine, come forward, lift your knees, press back, down dog. So with your knees bent, now lift your heels up really, really, really high. Wearing your highest stilettos ever. Keep your knees bent. Then maybe try and stretch your legs. And without dropping your ribs, you want to keep your front lower ribs lifting towards your spine. Sink your heels towards the mat. Then lift your heels up high again. And sink the heels. Lift your heels up high. Only sink the left and bend your right knee. Lift your heels up high. Sink the right knee or heel. Bend the left knee. One more time each side. Lift heels up high. Lower the left heel. Lift the heels up high. Lower the right heel. Lift both heels up high. Rolling on the spine to your high plank. Bring your knees to the mat. Puppy stretch. We're going to add a little bit more. You'll be fine. I know it. So round your spine, coming forward. Lift your knees, downward facing dog. And little by little, you'll notice your knees might be able to straighten more and more, sinking your heels closer towards the floor, and then maybe letting your legs stretch. Now lift your left leg up high. Lift your right heel high. Bring your knee to your nose. Oh my God, are you kidding me? No, I'm not. You'll be fine. And then stretch the leg back. And bring your foot to the floor. We did this lying down on our backs. We did this on all fours. You can do it in downward facing dog one more time. Lifting your right leg up high. Then the left heel. Then your right knee to nose. Stretch back. Foot to the floor. Come forward to your high plank. Knees to the mat. Sit back. Now untuck your toes. Let your arms rest along your side. Child's pose. Just letting your shoulders feel really, really heavy. Letting your breath move in and out of your body, even in this position, noticing how your inhalation will make you feel a little buoyant. Your back lifts, and as you exhale, you sink down. Now we're going to add all of this together. So from here, we're going to slowly, gently make our way up to standing. So press your hands to the floor beneath your shoulders. Gently ease your way up to a kneeling position. Nice and slow, don't get a head rush. And then from here, we're gently going to come up to our feet, the front of the mat. And you can choose to stand with your big toes touching. Or if you feel you're a bit wobbly, it can help to bring your feet hip distance apart. Hip distance is about 2 fist widths. So you just measure that, and it's 2 fist widths between the knuckles of your big toes, and then you come up to standing. Have your knees slightly soft so you'll feel the muscles of your legs switch on. And bringing your ears back in line with your shoulders. Arms along your side. We're going to put all that floor stuff together in a Vinyasa flow. So this is a Sun Salutation. Inhale, reach your arms up. And then bring your hands down the front of your body. I like to bend my knees and curl down along the spine. Bring your fingers to the floor. Knees as bent as they need to be. Inhaling buoyancy. Chest lifts. And just bring your head back in. We're going to do that one more time. So bend your knees, then curling up along the spine. Just so you feel familiar with that transition. Your arms along your side. We're going to add on. Inhaling the arms up, hands together, and then curling down the front of your body, fingers to the floor. Knees as bent as they need to be. Inhaling, the chest comes forward. Bend your knees a lot so your hands are flat on the floor. Step your left leg back. Hover your knees just off the floor. Reach your hands up if you can, or just keep your hands off the floor, look forward. And then bring your hands flat on the mat once more. Step back to your downward facing dog. And lift your heels up high. Come forward, bottom squeezes, knees to the mat. Puppy pose. And squeezing from your bottom, rounding your spine through your angry cat. All fours, knees lift. Downward facing dog. And then reaching your right leg up behind you. Bring your knee to your nose. Rounding your back. Press your leg behind you. And then bring the knee to your nose. Step the foot forward. Now if it only lands halfway, that's okay. You give it a helping hand and you bring it forward. Again, your back knee hovers just off the floor. Maybe keep your fingers on the mat. Or if you'd like to try, bring your hands up. Then bring them back down. And step your back foot forward. The chest is forward. And finally curl your knees, folding in. Knees are soft, legs are strong, rolling all the way up. Reaching up, and arms along your side. That was the first side, now we do the second side. Inhaling the arms up. They float on the breath, and then you sink down, curling on your exhalation. Inhale, the chest floats forward. Planting your hands. Stepping your right leg back. Maybe the knee bends. And maybe reach your fingers up. Maybe you wobble a little bit. And then you come down. Step back, lift the foot up, step to your downward facing dog. And then just make sure you feel comfortable here. It's hard, I know. Your knees might be bent, that's fine. Keep your ribs lifting up towards your spine, your butt pressing behind you. And if your knees are bent a little or a lot, doesn't matter. Lift the heels up high. Come forward to your high plank. And bring your knees to the mat. Sit back onto your heels. And roll forward. Knees come off the mat. And roll back, downward facing dog. Lifting your left leg up behind you. And lift your right knee, or right heel, and bring your left knee to your nose. And stretch it back. One more time, lifting up, bring the knee to your nose, and then you step your foot forward, maybe give it a helping hand. Your back knee hovers just off the floor. Hold your back. Maybe just your chest comes forward. Maybe your hands lift up. And then bring your hands flat to the mat. Spring your back foot forward. The chest floats forward. And then you curl in. Knees soft, legs strong, rolling up. Along the spine. Arms along your side. Let's do it one more time each side. Inhaling up. Float the arms. And you sink down. The chest lifts, floats forward. Plant your hands. Right leg steps back. Your lunge. Planting your hands firmly on the floor. Pick up your foot. Step back to your downward facing dog. Lift both heels. Come forward to your high plank. Knees down. Sit back on your heels. Round your spine. Come into all fours. Lift the knees. Down dog. Right leg floats up behind you. Bring the knee to your nose. Stretch the leg back. Bring the knee to your nose and step the foot forward. Back knee hovers just off the floor. Maybe you lift the fingers up, maybe they stay on the floor. And then step the back foot forward. Folding in. Roll up. Arms along your side. Last time, reaching up. Roll down. Inhaling, the chest floats forward. The fingers stay on the floor. The knees are as bent as they need to be. Plant your hands. Step your left leg back. The back knee hovers. Maybe your fingers stay on the floor. Maybe they reach for the stars. Then you bring your hands flat to the mat. Pick up the foot and step back to downward facing dog. Again, your knees can be as bent as they need to be. Then you lift your heels up, you roll forward. High plank. Knees to the mat. Puppy stretch. Rolling along the spine. Inhale, you come forward. The knees lift. Tuck your chin and you roll back. The left leg floats up on your inhalation. And you bring the knee to your chest. You stretch the leg back. Bring the knee to your chest and you step the foot forward. Back knee hovers. And maybe you roll up. Maybe you keep your hands on the floor. Then you bring your hands back to the mat. Spring the back foot forward. And you fold in. Knees bend. Rolling all the way up. And arms along your side. Awesome. Now from here, take a wide step out along your mat. Make sure your toes, your second toe, points straight forward. And having your, let me just adjust this guy. Have your hands along the outside of your thighs. And you probably want a leg, a little bit more than a leg distance between your feet. Hands to the outside of your thighs, especially the outer edge of your hand presses to the outside edge of your thighs. Tuck your chin. Feel your legs strong, roll down, running your hands down the outside edge of your thighs. Going down as far as it feels appropriate and comfortable for you. Staying here for a breath or two. And then gently firming your buttocks, press your hands against your legs, roll back up. And again, tuck your chin. As you roll down, the hands slide down the outside edge of your legs. You may even notice you come a little bit deeper this time. And slowly, gently come all the way out. Now you can do that version one more time, or if you like, clasp your hands behind you. I'll just show you, if you're clasping your hands, can you keep your hands together and your elbows slightly bent? So we don't want to be hyperextending and locking out the elbows. We just want the hands hugging together and the elbows bent. And then again, whether you have your hands on the outside of your legs or your hands behind you, tuck your chin. And as you roll down, let your hands lift. So you're timing the lowering of the head with the lift of the hands. You might feel like you're going to fall over, but I promise you won't. So take the weight out of your heels and bring it into the ball of your feet. And then tuck your chin. You're going to roll back up. Nice and slow. Everybody release your hands and bring them up. And down. And bring your hands to your hips. And just heel and toe your feet back together again. One last standing position. Probably one of my favorite. Tree pose. So have your hands on your hips can help with balance. Then have your knees slightly soft. Legs strong. And then inhale with buoyancy. Your right knee floats up. And then just let it sink down as you exhale. And again, inhale the knee up. Good. So maybe staying like this. If this is where you feel most comfortable, cool. Now the next variations are bringing the knee out to the side. Maybe you'd like to stay like this. Or bringing the tiptoe of your foot to the floor. And the heel rests just above your ankle against the shin. Or maybe the foot to the inside of your shin. Or if you're game, you want to try something really cool, because everything else is also super cool, but this is a little bit harder. And then really important to press your left hip, the outside edge of your hip, into your foot. No matter where your foot is, when your foot is pressing against either the thigh, the shin, or just above your ankle, push from the left hip towards the right foot, and push your right foot in towards your left leg. So you feel them cementing together. And keep your hands on your hips. Whoa, got a bit of wobbling going on. But better keep my hands on my hips. Sometimes, if you feel you're stable, you might like to bring your hands to your heart. And again, adding even more challenge to the balance is bringing your hands up, growing some branches. And then to come out of it, bring your hands back to your hips. Bring your knee back to your chest. And exhale, let the foot sink down. How'd you go? Second side. You ready? Knees soft, inhaling, just feeling the buoyancy of the inhalation. And then sink the knee down as you exhale. Then inhale the knee up and hold. And turn the knee out. And then doing the same variation you did on the first side. We always want to work evenly. So if that was the foot to the inside of the thigh, cool. If that was bringing your foot to the inside of your shin, awesome. Remember, never on the knee, either below the knee or above the knee. Or if you felt it was best with the big toe on the floor and the ankle against the shin, the heel against your ankle shin, that's fine. The same pose, just different variations. Your knees out to the side, the hips facing forward. And then, depending on what you did on the first side, you might like to do the same thing with your hands. I think it's usually best to do the same thing on the first side. Hands to your heart or hands on your hips. Just so you're always working your both sides evenly. And then you're going to inhale the knee back to your chest and float the foot down. And then inhale, resetting your energy, reaching up, and then bring your hands to your heart. We're almost there. We're going to make it to the floor. So we're going to come all the way down to a cross-legged position. And now we're back to where we started on the floor. Before we finish, we'll just do some last minute squeeze and soaking of the spine. So sit comfortably. You might like to have a block nearby if you feel your knees are sitting all the way up toward your armpits. One of these blocks you can usually buy in a lot of sports stores. They're not very expensive and they don't weigh much, so they're easy to just move around. And by lifting your hips up, your knees will drop down. Takes the grip out of the groin. And then inhale, sweep your arms up. Then bring them down. And we're going to sweep them up one more time. Again, with the buoyancy of inhalation, and then exhale, the hands float down. Bring your hands to your heart. And then inhale, turning from your belly towards your right. And then maybe bring your left hand to the right knee and your right fingertips to the floor behind you, just sitting up in a nice, gentle, easy, cross-legged twisting position. And letting your breath feel all natural and soft. And while you're twisting your upper body and your chest and your shoulders towards the right, can you pull your left hip back, push your right hip forward, so that our hips and our shoulders do the opposite. And then inhale, sweep your arms up. Twisting back to center, hands to the heart. Inhale, twist towards the left. And bring the hands, right hand to the knee, left fingertips to the floor behind you. Sitting up nice and tall. The head stacked on top of the spine. And while our shoulders and our chest twist towards the left, the right hip pulls back, the left hip pushes forward. So we're trying to keep the hips still and only twisting along the spine, especially the stiffer part, that's the thoracic spine. And then inhaling all the way up. Coming back to center. And inhale, sweep your arms up. Leaving your left arm up, bring your right fingertips down to the floor. And lift your left arm, lifting up, 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 and leaning across. Now keep your left hip bone, your left buttocks pressing down into the floor of the block. And you can maybe look down if your neck is feeling tired. Maybe it feels best to look forward, or maybe get a bit more twist along the spine by looking past your armpit. And then press yourself up. Inhaling the right fingers up, lifting, reaching, reaching, and leaning across. The right buttocks pressing down. And again, maybe looking past your armpit, maybe looking forward, maybe looking down. That sort of depends on what feels most comfortable on our neck. And then lifting up. Inhale your arms up without using your hands. Change the cross of your legs. And that can sometimes be a tricky exercise in itself. We're going to combine. So inhaling all the way up. And then twist. Inhaling all the way up. And side bend. From here, turn your belly flat to the floor. And then sweeping all the way across. Your back and your twist. Inhaling the hands up. And bring your hands to your heart. Second side. Inhaling all the way up. And twist. Inhaling all the way up. The left hand stays up, the right finger's down. You're lifting up and leaning across. Then turn the belly to the floor. Sweeping across. And your back and your twist. And reaching, floating your hands up. And we're back at center. Removing the block if you're sitting on one. And just so that I can roll onto my mat, we're going to move onto the floor again, holding onto the tops of the feet if that felt comfortable, and we did at the beginning of class. Rolling down onto your back, releasing your feet. And just taking a few moments here. If it feels comfortable on your knees and your hips, lying with your legs crossed. And notice how that helps to open around the hips, the pelvis, the front of your belly. Staying here for a few breaths. You can stay here longer if you like. Otherwise, undo your legs. Stretch your legs out along the floor. And again, just let yourself relax and let go, sinking down into the floor. Now you can stay here as long as you like. And then when you feel ready, gently bend your knees. We roll to the side first. Let your head rest on your arm like a pillow. Again, this just helps to equilibrate everything in our body after lying down. Then you use your hands to press you up. If you can, keep your eyes closed. And if you can, then find your way into a comfortable seated position. That can be cross-legged, but it doesn't have to be. And let your hands rest on your knees. Sitting up tall, your head stacked on top of your spine, and just noticing how your body feels, how your breath feels, how your mind feels. Let everything settle like the glitter in a snow globe. And then when you're ready, bring your hands together, press your heart and your thumbs towards each other, gently opening your eyes. Welcome back. I'm on a slight diagonal. That's what happens when you keep your eyes closed. Thanks for joining me. Namaste.